everybody. Happy hump day. Happy Cinco de Mayo. The day that big mayonnaise ship sank out in the ocean. Cinco de Mayo. Hope you have a good one. I actually should have had a Modelo or something frosty and refreshing to celebrate, but I will go out and celebrate a little bit later on. So hope you did well today. Of course, anybody who's holding crypto is enjoying today's activities. I must say, some nice moves to the upside out there. We'll talk about a lot of that today. Today's question actually was brought into me from a viewer, and the question was interesting. It said, if you had... sorry, I have to trying to type in a login here. If you had $10,000, where would you spend it in the crypto world? I thought that's a great question, and a lot of people are going to have different opinions about that one. So I'll set it up with a big asterisk for today. That what I'm going to show you here involves a couple different things. First and foremost, it's going to show some of the principles of TradeStation updating. Of portfolio creation with regards to your 401ks, your IRAs, etc., and how you distribute those assets to achieve specific goals. Then, of course, we'll dive deeper into specific projects within the crypto universe and see how that all works. And then I will give you some ideas as to if I had 10,000, this is how I might do it. I'm sure some of you are going to go, what the hell are you doing? I would not do that. I wouldn't buy that coin. That one's junk. That's fine. That's okay. Feel free to add in the chat here as we go too about what other projects you might like to see, because again, this is a hypothetical portfolio. I actually own 90% of all the things I'm going to show you here today, and there's reasons why I bought those. Of course, I think I told you guys I think now it's up to like 22 or 23 positions given some of the airdrops that I've received. So I'll explain some of that as well. Anyway, big shout out to everybody from around the world here. I love that you guys post in where you're from. We've got quite a diverse group. So hello everybody. I've got Boston in the house. I got Mississippi, Texas, and of course our regulars here from Southern California. Pepper, good to have you with us. If you're new, I know I've seen your name before, but anyway, if anybody who is new, hit that subscribe button. Okay, as we all are aware, or at least most of you should be aware, we do have a little bit of an event going on internally here at the TraderMerlin show, and that is really this bad boy right here. It's our May challenge. We are 5 days into it, and I just put this, I'm going to do this every single day. You're going to get annoyed with it, but you know what? Let's just stare you in the face and make sure that you guys go and do what you said your challenge was. I actually received a couple more last night. I don't remember the name. I'll look it up here in a second, but it was great. She said, look, my goal for the month of May is to log all of my trades. And I thought that's a brilliant one, because for some reason, whatever that reason is, you're not logging those things. So let's do it, right? Let's get involved and make sure we track our trades so we can learn from the mistakes that we're making and the things we're doing right. So that's a great one to do as well. I'm sure you'll stick with it for the entire month. Jamil says, let's start with, where can I even buy all these crypto? Great. I'll do 50 push-ups and sit-ups. Good. All right, Pepe, I'm going to add you to the list. I'll add you to the list. You'll be on there tomorrow. So, Jamil, that's a great point. Jamil says, how do we even invest in this stuff? Where do I even know where to go? Okay, that certainly is a challenge, and I'll explain that as we go through here. Let me just start by building this portfolio, and I want you guys to think, as we go through this, some of you are rather versed in cryptos, some of you not so much. So I'll build it like I'm almost acting like a financial advisor and explaining the justification for the allocations. And then, of course, we all have to make the decision as, is this what we want to do with our own money? So there we go. Here is my wonderful graphic for today. How do I invest $10,000 in crypto? Now, what I want to start with overall is not the specific one like Bitcoin or Ethereum or these types of things. It's saying, look, if I have 10 grand, I have to figure out how to break that up into chunks. And if you watch this show for any amount of time or taken Proactive Investor with Online Trading Academy, you understand that we want to deploy our capital to help achieve goals. Now, of course, the goal is I want to make more money with it. That's true. But we could make the argument that, hey, I could make money by putting $10,000 into Bitcoin, and I could also make money by putting $10,000 into Dogecoin, one of which will probably be here in 10 years. The other one will be gone and be a laughingstock of the financial world in 10 years. So you might make some money at some point, but what's the overall return for you if that Dogecoin goes down to zero like I anticipate it will do over time? Maybe not zero, but go down significantly. So here's how we break this up into portfolio slices. And you might add more. I wanted to keep it somewhat basic, so I have 4 slices to this. Your first slice is simple. Store of value. Now, that's a tough one because one of the arguments against cryptocurrency is how volatile it is, right? We saw Bitcoin drop 38% in a 4-day window. Some would argue that's not a store of value. Well, it's since bounced almost all the way back up to where it was. So I put 30% in a store of value category. Don't worry, everybody. I will go into exactly what the positions are in each of those slices. I'm just highlighting high level what they are. So store of value. Slice number 2 is what I'm calling smart chain. This is what I call Gen 2 as well of cryptocurrency, which is programmable blockchains. Number 3 is targeted projects. These are they may be tokens, they may actually be their own native blockchains, but these are projects that are trying to solve a problem within the digital ecosystem or possibly even in our normal day-to-day life operation thing. So I'll explain some of that here in a second. And then the last slice is your fun gamble. This is, you're pretty much going to lose it, but why not take a shot in the dark and just take a slice of that pie, which in this case would be $1,000 for the crazy crap. Again, that's your Dogecoin. So let me dive deeper into the first category, the store of value. Now, for me, first and foremost, I know it's overpriced. Well, it's not overpriced if you look at its long-term trajectory. It is going to be Bitcoin. BTC is the ticker symbol for that one. The reason for this is I believe it will be the one that stands the test of time, or one of a few that stands the test of time. It has the most secure network with regards to proof of work, and this is the one that's gaining more adoption much more quickly than any of the other assets. So when you have JP Morgan and Goldman and all of a sudden these major firms looking to put this on their balance sheets like Tesla and many others, this is certainly one that you want to have. So I would say for me, if you're doing an even allocation at 30% into this portfolio, I would do 10% into Bitcoin. Number 2 is Litecoin. If Bitcoin is gold, Litecoin is silver. And you've seen, today it was up over 15%. It was pretty crazy the way it's shot up today. But I have been a little bit harsh on Litecoin in the past, where I feel that going forward, it will start to maybe lose a little bit of its luster, simply because most, I think, will focus on Bitcoin as that main store of value, and then they'll look to the other projects. So Litecoin, while it's doing great right now, may struggle a bit in the future. However, I think it's still a good buy from the store of value category. Now, the third one here is a little different. It's actually derived from Bitcoin, and you could easily allocate $1,500 into each of these two positions, but I agree with Brendan here, who's in the chat regularly. I would say you want to slice that up a little bit more. You don't want to put too much emphasis on one crypto asset. Let's split it up. So you could put 4 or 5 different ones in the store of value category. But shock to many, I'm saying Dash. Dash is a little bit different than your Bitcoin or your Litecoin. Bitcoin and Litecoin, they have the most fanfare. They have the biggest fan base. But Dash has taken Bitcoin's code and modified it a little bit and is really pushing much more to make it transactional. And to me, while it does have a store of value, it almost becomes dual purpose here. The other piece that's important for this, really critical for me, and I didn't have time to bring it up, is if you're speculating on a project, what you got to make sure you do is don't get caught up on the hype that everybody is building into a specific digital asset like Dogecoin. The reason I think Dogecoin is a joke is because no one's working on the code. No one's modifying it or building it or making it better. Therefore, it's not going to go anywhere. If you look at Dash, if you look at Litecoin, if you look at Bitcoin, they all have a huge base of programmers that are making it better, looking at the long term and saying, how can we tweak this to make it what the future needs? Dash has a great community, which I really love the whole Dash community. You guys may know that there's a process called mining. And with mining with Dash, it's interesting because most of the miners, like in Bitcoin, if you solve a block of data, the miner who solves that block gets all the commissions, or the rewards, right? Right now it's 6.25 Bitcoin, plus all of the transaction fees. With Dash, a percentage of that mining reward goes back to a community pool that all the Dash users get to vote on what to do with that money. It's used for buildings, it's used for employees, it's also used for marketing, different strategy tactics they want to try, radio shows, etc. So really an interesting one with regards to Dash, but I would put that as my third with the store of value category. I know some of you are going to differ and go, no, my portfolio will be different. That's great, totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Maybe what I'll do with this is I might actually build one tonight so I can reference it and show what this portfolio has done over time starting today. Okay, so that was your first slice. If there's any questions on that, let me know, because I know some of you have been asking me about this, is where do we put money, where do we allocate? Just let me know, type it in the chat and I'll go into here. So, NJ says Ethereum Classic run continues. Sure, I think right now you're seeing that rising tide lifts all boats, right? Everything's rising with this huge frenzy for crypto right now. When the fallout comes, I think something like Ethereum Classic will just fizzle out because everyone's going to be using Ethereum. Ethereum Classic has some issues. So, I think you're probably better off going with Ethereum. The difference is a lot of people look at those two and go, well, Ethereum Classic's so much cheaper. If it catches Ethereum, I get a better rate of return. I don't think it'll catch Ethereum. So, next slice is your smart chain. I think that this is probably the one that has the most upside potential. This is really interesting to me when we look at and think about where it's all going. What does the future hold for this industry? To me, it's programmable blockchains. It's the ability to do whatever Ethereum has done, which is masterful in my mind. I look at Ethereum as kind of this think of a vertical column, like a spinal column of code. Right? And that is, it's humming. And that is the piece that other companies can plug into to do their business operations. And that's really what's happening with Ethereum. It's a plug and play ecosystem where I can come up with a project, tokenize it, and now plug it into their blockchain. So I have this incredible systemic synergy that allows for all these other programs to be reliant on Ethereum. So if I'm Civic, for example, it's a token. If I'm Civic and there's any issues with Ethereum, my project is screwed. I want to make sure Ethereum succeeds no matter what because I'm reliant on their system. So to me, that is one of the great things about these smart chains is that there's a reliance on it. And of course, the lead dog out there, the number one player by a long shot right now is Ethereum. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. I think a lot of people would be okay putting Ethereum into their portfolio. The challenge with Ethereum is they're currently going through major changes. They are going from a proof of work system to a proof of stake system. That's a big transition. And number two, they're having a little bit of scalability issues, meaning they can't handle all the transactions that are coming through their network. So they're modifying, and this is why you want a community of programmers around you. They're building a better back end, if you will, or changing the code to add scalability. And this uses a variety of techniques like sharding and a whole bunch of other really geeked out processes, but in order to get 10x their transactions, and once that's stable, they'll do 10x again, and now all of a sudden Ethereum can handle anything the market throws at it. So Ethereum for me, my number one in the smart chain. Number two, and I actually think in time, Binance will take over Ethereum as the smart chain. That ticker symbol for that one is BNB, by the way. And the reason for it is just CZ, the guy who runs Binance, he's all in 100% vision, and he's pouring all of his assets, all of his resources, all of his teams to build out a completely digital ecosystem. When I say digital ecosystem, I mean, yes, you have a crypto exchange where I can go and I can buy Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. But I can also go on to his digital ecosystem and I can buy S&P futures in a tokenized format. I can go on that ecosystem and potentially buy things like Apple shares without having to go to the NASDAQ or my broker. I can now do so directly through smart contracts tied to their blockchain. Very interesting what he's doing. So he's not just an exchange. He is building that entire ecosystem around the Binance Smart Chain. And I think that will be a very, very popular one going forward. And last on the list here is one that is actually from Ethereum. He used to work for Ethereum, Cardano. Cardano is another one of these programmable blockchains. It's got a much more scalable aspect to it because it was kind of designed for scalability. It's definitely much smaller. It's not a top player right now, but I like the team. I like the development team. And I think that going forward, Cardano will have a seat at the table when it comes to smart chains, programmable smart chains, smart contracts, etc. Yes. You don't want to under-own winners or over-own losers. Correct. And, you look at this, what's going on right now, I think that all three of these are going to be winners. Look, I'm putting my money where my mouth is, so we can argue it down the road if someone really thinks none of these three belong there. And if you have an argument against one of them, totally fine as well. So Brendan says Cardano is shit compared to Cosmos or even Tezos. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. But this is the point, right? Could you... if you don't like Cardano, could you remove it and throw in Tezos, or could you throw in Cosmos? Yes, you could. Or you could even just split this 30% allocation and add in a small percentage of each one of those. There you go. In TradeStation, what is Binance's symbol? You probably can't get Binance in TradeStation, Mike. I'll have to look at that one for you. I haven't traded through TradeStations yet, so I don't know. All right, so we're on the second category, smart chain. This is where it is going to be totally up to you on what you feel or think is going to be big in that ecosystem with regards to digital assets and cryptocurrencies. This is the absolute wild card that is going to be probably the most challenging one for everybody. Now, for me, I actually had another graphic up here, but for some reason I cannot find it. I love how that always works. All right, I'll just start going through these. First one in here, I would say, is Polkadot. And the reason I'm saying Polkadot is probably your number 2 is because of the project itself. We have all of these different blockchains. There's tons of different blockchains, but they're kind of their own ecosystem. What Polkadot is attempting to do is link them together, right? It's basically trying to bring these separate chains together, so it opens up all new avenues of possibilities, such as atomic swaps, where I can simply just go from one chain to the other without having to go through an exchange to swap out digital assets or move smart contracts from chain to chain. While that may not seem like a big utility to you, I think down the road it's critical that we get something that community. Imagine if we had a technology that it didn't matter whether you own, see, if you buy a Mac and you have a PC, you have to have separate software for those because their operating systems are different. But wouldn't it be cool if there was a computer that it just didn't matter if you used PC or Mac? You just used whatever program you wanted, that the computer itself made the decision on which one to use and made it more efficient. To me, that's kind of what Polkadot is doing. So I'm liking that one, and there's other reasons why that we'll see here in just a second, so why Polkadot's a good one. Again, I'm only targeting 3 specific ones here. Just to put this into perspective, let me see if I can bring this up for you guys. Right now there's 9,607 cryptos out there. So it's not like you have a shortage of projects to look at, right? Go with the winners, as Brendan says, but I think you also want to sprinkle around a little bit of that speculative side and say, hey, there are some cryptocurrencies that I'm going to take a flyer on and could be big, and I'll explain some of those here in just a second. There's 2 in particular that I'm going to point out. So we've got Polkadot is kind of my targeted project, number 1. Number 2 is Stellar Lumens. Now, let's see. This is going to be a tough one. A lot of people are going to go, well, why don't you have Ripple on here? Why isn't Ripple front and center? Because I think Ripple is siloed. I think Ripple is they made it too clear that their objective was to go for the Swift banking protocol and be that remittance settlement, big payments. Well, you know what? One of the guys that worked for Ripple's development team started his own thing called Stellar Lumens. It's got much faster transaction speeds. It's got scalability. It can do almost everything the same. But what they've done is they've taken their capital and gone out and bought other companies in this space, kind of like what Facebook did with Instagram and other companies, to help bolster their position. One company they bought in particular was a voting blockchain company, which I was like, please, let's do voting on the blockchain. I'm sick and tired of all the fraud talk. I want a mutable blockchain that I can just send my stuff and track all the results for every election or voting process I've ever done. Stellar Lumens bought them, and that's one of the reasons I bought Stellar Lumens, is because you couldn't buy the company, but you could buy Stellar Lumens, which owns that company. 90% of the show is Mandarin? Oh, Pepe, I'm sorry, buddy. We'll type in questions along the way, Pepe, if you don't get it. It's definitely, I'm speaking slightly high up there, but it's not too challenging. We'll get you up long. What's forward is the names and the ideas, maybe, what some of these projects are doing. Let me see here real quick. How do you buy into Ethereum? I'll explain where you buy these things, Rob, in just a sec. Don't worry about that. Think. Ethereum is a DeFi versus BNB is a CDFI. Doesn't that defeat the purpose? Well, I don't know if it defeats the purpose. I mean, they're both decentralized to a point. You know, I don't know totally about the back end of Binance's smart chain, but you're right. I do think it's a bit more centralized than Ethereum. And who knows down the road if that changes, but yes, that might be a potential there and defeat the purpose of having decentralized applications. But remember, the people who want to be truly decentralized, they will go with something like Ethereum, which is more decentralized. And there's actually arguments that Ethereum is becoming slightly centralized as well because of the mining, and that could happen the same thing with staking here. But I'll save that conversation for another day because that's a deeper one. When I say target project, Pepe, what I mean is These are projects that are attempting to solve a specific purpose. For example, one that I own that's not on this list is called CliK. CliK is a token that uses the Ethereum blockchain, right? So without Ethereum, CliK doesn't exist. So again, it's that codependency that I was talking about, which is why I have Ethereum as being so important for my portfolio. What CliK is doing is saying, we want to create a blockchain tokenized identity. So we can do it with passports and driver's license. It'll all be done on a blockchain, which is an interesting idea, an interesting concept to me. And I bought into that project. So to me, that's a targeted project. Another targeted project I would say would be what I mentioned here with Polkadot, where their goal as a platform is to bring together the different chains. I call them parachaining, right? So we can move from blockchain to blockchain. You have other ones. God, there's so many different projects out there. I was actually looking for a graphic here. Bear with me 2 seconds. I'm going to see if I can. I think it might be on another screen. I don't know where it went, but I actually saved this one here real quick. I don't know where the heck it went. I had I don't know where it went. I had a really cool graphic of the Ethereum ecosystem, which for the show today I was hoping to bring it up, but I just didn't get a chance to get it. All right, no worries. We will go back and continue on with the discussion here, and hopefully I'll bring this up at the end. Yeah, Brendan says he's not bullish on CliK, and that's fine, right? It's a very small portion of my portfolio. I originally bought into CliK with $1,000, right? And I think right now I can actually tell you what it's been slowly growing. But CliK, I don't know if it'll be the one that it takes over identity. It's gone from 1,000 to 26.57. Okay, I'm fine with that. Did it get a rate of return that could have been beaten by somebody else? Absolutely, but I'm all right with it. So let's go to target projects. We talked about Polkadot. We talked about Stellar Lumens. This is one here that most people haven't heard of. It's a really odd one. It deals with a totally different structure. It's called Hedera Hashgraph. Now, Hedera Hashgraph is a different type of consensus. It uses what's called a hash graph, which is not like proof of work or proof of stake. It's really more what's considered a directed acyclic graph, but I'm going to lose a lot of people if I go down that rabbit hole. They're doing a wide variety of projects, and I'll see if I can play this commercial for you. It was interesting what their ad was, and I thought it was kind of cool. I played this video earlier. See if I can replay this one for you. Hopefully it's not too loud. Nope.
Imagine a future where the entire global economy is tokenized. A future where markets are fair and accessible to all. A future where any asset can be tokenized and exchanged anywhere in the world in seconds for a fraction of a penny.
So I thought that was interesting because if you notice their talk track, they want to tokenize everything. And this goes back to what I was talking about with Binance. You can tokenize shares of stock. You can tokenize a futures contract, an options contract. You can tokenize almost anything. And Hedera is looking at going after that market of tokenizing. And we're not just talking in NFT, non-fungible tokens, just tokenizing, period. I think it's a very interesting one. And to Brendan's point here, I set this up really saying, look, let's break it into 4 categories, evenly divided. As Brendan says here, you could easily put $500 into 20 different positions and go for it, but I would still allocate based off of that subgrouping of store of value. You've got smart contracts or programmable blockchains. Then you're looking at target projects, and then our final one, which is going to be the ultimate sketchy one, right? The stuff that's just crazy, and that would be your gambles. This is number one. It's your Dogecoin. It doesn't necessarily have to be Dogecoin. It could be Dogecoin-like products. There's actually a couple that I don't even want to say the names on the program because I'll get some flashback from you guys. They are rude. I mean, they're just basically porn names. You think of the nastiest porn term. That's what they're calling these tokens now, and all of a sudden they're up like 200%. They got $50 million in them. These are the high flyers, the gambles. This is stuff that you should be ready to lose your money on, but you could make 100x, 200x, 1000x on it. It's risk. I talk about things like Tron. I actually think much more highly of Tron than I did years ago. But Tron, what makes it so interesting is this is a gamble that started off as a gamble for me. But they have turned into a legit company. They are actually building infrastructure. They have programmers, and this guy Justin Sun, who runs Tron, whether you love him or hate him, he is constantly doing things to bring attention to the crypto digital asset space. I mean, he paid $500,000 to have lunch with Warren Buffett. Who cares, right? Bottom line is it made headlines and drew attention to him and his projects. So he's always pushing that envelope. I like it. And what's nice about Tron is I'm constantly getting airdrops. I'm getting all these different tokens that are, they're only worth a couple cents, but who cares? You're giving me free stuff. That's awesome too. All right, and let's see what I put as the last one. I don't even remember what I put on the last one. Oh yeah, IoTex. This is an interesting one. It's a very cheap digital asset. However, what they're trying to do is the Internet of Things. They're trying to do, an idea that I mentioned before when I taught the cryptocurrency class, which is micropayments and linking computers with humans is really kind of an interesting thought for me. For example, you see these new refrigerators that have TVs in the door, right? In 10 years, I'm pretty sure that this is what's going to happen. You will all of a sudden hear a ring at your front door. You go to your front door, you open it, and there's a bag of groceries. You're like, I did not order this. And you go, okay, well, it came from this address. I must have ordered. You go to your fridge, and you take out the gallon of milk out of the bag. You look in your fridge, your milk is gone. Your eggs are empty. Your fridge will be tracking through digital technology your consumption. It says, well, it's time to order you eggs because I saw you ate the last one today. Boom, it'll order for you. That will all be done with micropayments called the Internet of Things. So your refrigerator will automatically go and tell the store that, hey, I need these items to replenish their fridge. I mean, the possibilities are endless with regards to this, but to me, the IoTex, which is, again, a total gamble play here, that might be something that down the road, when this technology becomes much more prevalent in our society and in our lives, that they become the forefront. IOTA is another one, but IOTA is a little more high price. So, there you go. Yes, as Brendan says, hunt sub $100 million market cap for moonshots. And how do you do that? Well, let me show you over here. Let's see, what do we got? There you go. So you guys see here, I'm at the home page, and I can just click on market cap, and it will shrink to the smaller ones. It should anyway. Oh, I have to go. This is the top 100. Ugh, I can't do it on this page. I have to it'll take me a lot to get there. Anyway, you could just scroll through and go down to the next 200 or 300 or 400. There's tons here, and find the really micro small caps. Just you got to know that when they're really small like that your odds of losing are better. Of course, your odds of getting that 300 to 1 reward ratio are better as well, because Bitcoin's probably not going to go up 300x from here. Could it go up 10x, 100x? Yeah, it could, but it's getting more challenging and more challenging for it to get to those levels. So far, I broke that pie down into 4 slices. And within that, you can have as many categories. So let's say that your slice for targeted projects is 30% of your portfolio. If it's a $10,000 account, that means you're going to be doing $3,000 in there. You could, with that $3,000, split it up into 50 different positions if you want, right? And to me, that would be good for spreading around the risk. That's kind of what I did early on. I had this idea of here's how I wanted to fragment my portfolio, and then I just sort of built it out and been building it out ever since. Really actually stopped building it out. I haven't added anything new to my portfolio in quite some time except Dogecoin, which, by the way, for those of you who are asking, I did have an order in the system last night to sell out what I bought 2 weeks ago for 100% gain. I sold out of half, and now I'm just letting that second half run until Saturday, and we'll see what happens. So, it's about setting goals and targets with these things too. Again, I think Dogecoin will crash ultimately, but why not catch it while it's running hot? My son said if Dogecoin hits $250, he will have his first million. I wouldn't even rain in your son's parade, but there's no way it's hitting 250. What did we say the other day? I'll just briefly see if I can get the market cap for you for Dogecoin. So 149 billion. And I'll bring it over here so we can all revel in the joy of this one. 149 billion, you said 250, he'd be a millionaire? I mean, I hope your son's right. Oops, dab nabbit. Let's clear that. It's 149. There you go. That's 149 billion. And we'll times that by 250. This ought to be a nice number. So you're looking at a $37 trillion market cap. Considering it's taken all of their life for Apple to be one of the most dominant companies in the world, and they're only at $2 trillion, I find that a stretch, but that's okay. I hope he's right, because if, by the way, if Dogecoin gets to 250, my portfolio is going to be unbelievable. So I hope he's right. Anyway, so that's the basics. And here's the big thing that's changed recently. And Brendan, I know you're a big part of this as well, is it used to be that you kept your assets in one of three places. You kept it on the exchange and made nothing, but had the risk. When I say made nothing, meaning they don't pay you interest on it. You get the price fluctuations of the crypto. You could keep them on a hot wallet, like on your phone, and you make nothing, and you have the risk that somebody could hack it in. Or you kept them on cold storage, which would be a Nano Ledger S, a Trezor, or something like a paper wallet, where, again, you make nothing off of interest, but you have the security that you own the private keys. So therein lies a new phenomenon which has been really blowing up lately, and it's caused me to change fundamentally the way that I store my crypto, because most of mine was offline in cold storage. But now we have a situation where not only are certain companies paying you interest for lending those cryptos, but you also can stake those cryptos and get paid on top of it. So let me just show you, for example, in this portfolio that we just built out, and again, that is just an idea. Please, you don't have to go with that. Make it your own. It was a starting point, a reference for you, because there's a lot of risk in there. These are the specific ticker symbols for the entire portfolio that I just created or just showed you here. Now, if you go back 3 years, you just held these somewhere, and that's it. You just got the price fluctuations. Well, check this. These are the rates of return now that you can find, and you can probably get better rates of return elsewhere. I just real quickly, literally 5 minutes before the show, was scrambling to see what rates I'm getting. But right now, 6.2% for Bitcoin. So not only do you get the fluctuations in price, but someone would literally pay you 6.2% for keeping your cryptocurrency there. It used to be I think it was 8% of BlockFi, I think. Now they've dropped to 5%. If you go to Celsius, it's 6.2%, right? But you notice there's a lot of that are paying. Litecoin, Dash, I mean, all of these top four, these are the big bellwethers, the main players in the industry, and they're all paying 5%, 4% or more. So to me, this is a consideration I've had to change in my portfolio, because why would I want to just let money sit there not doing anything? I wanted to make sure I was making some interest on that. So I just thought I'd show you that, like Polkadot, for example. I like the project, and they're paying me 12%. This is awesome, right? So I just told you I sold, I bought like $8,000 worth of Dogecoin. I sold out and collected $8,000, so I've made my money back 100%. And the next half is just free money, let it run. That $8,000, I'm now going to buy Polkadot, more Polkadot, and then throw that onto staking and get 12% interest on it. And they pay twice a week, so it's awesome. Brenda, using it on your Trezor? Yeah, I know you can. I just thought the rate was lower for keeping Bitcoin on your cold storage. Yes, and as Brendan says, so we're adding a new wrinkle to it here, but this is some of the newer stuff, is you can get Bitcoin cold storage on Kraken. That would be news to me, but I'd love to hear about that one. With these cryptos, yes, you can lend them out. You can do staking, and to me, that's where the fun is now. But there's some of them you can do from cold storage, meaning like my Nano Ledger, I keep my Tron there, and I get 5%. There's other cryptocurrencies like Cardano that you can get about 4.5% there, 5%. So there we go. The bottom line is this. I think that we're at a point now where you don't want to be rushing to jump into cryptos head first without thinking about it. What I'd hate to see someone do is just go, hey, I'm going to buy nothing but this one, and it's, the IOTEX. Well, that's a total gamble, right? I think it's dangerous for you to do that. Now, in a second, let me just read this question, and then I'll go into the other questions here, which is, how do you buy these things, right? Merlin, do you have a percent of net worth allocated you think someone should have in crypto? I don't really. I don't. I think the same way that we allocated that pie chart, you got to go, these are safe assets, right? This is going to be something that's very stable, your shares of Microsoft, maybe, or ETFs, and then you move into the more risky assets. This would definitely be with some of the more risky assets. I think as someone to go from a safety, prudent perspective, if I was a financial advisor, I would say something like, you probably shouldn't put more than 10% of your assets in crypto. That said, I'm definitely more than that with regards to my not total net worth, but because if you count out real estate, but definitely more of my net worth excluding real estate than 10% is in crypto, right? And that the main reason for that is I just feel very strongly about the industry. I see where it's going, and what I really like is, as I mentioned this before, retail people started cryptocurrencies. Institutions are just now jumping on. I was talking to a friend of mine from London today, and she's saying the company that she's worked for, all of a sudden, they've got big institutional requests coming in for cryptocurrency. We want to buy some. I don't even know how to get in there. Great. I think that is a trend that is not just a passing fad. I think it's something that's here to stay as a viable asset class. And what do you think that's going to do to the prices of these assets? It's going to drive them up even more. So bring it on. Let's keep it going. Yes. All right, but we'll have to talk about the different ones, but I certainly would like to stake through the Dow. That's a little confusing, but we'll not confuse our audience today. Let's see. Fink. Thoughts on buying options on Bitcoin and Ethereum rather than staking, and because options are priced in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could. You could also be using the futures markets as well. I just like the fact that I can hold my Bitcoin and know that I'm going to hold it for the long haul because I'm a hodler on these things, but knowing that I'm getting something extra, whether it's 5% or 8%, it really isn't the deal breaker for me. It's just knowing that if I have the choice to keep it here and make nothing, or to keep it here and make 5%, or to keep it here and make 8%, I'm going to where there's 8, as long as the risk of whoever's paying me 8% is not too high. I also don't want to put all my assets in one place because I am still fearful that an exchange could get hacked or shut down, or some regulatory garbage comes in and we're getting in trouble. But anyway, that's it. Let's see. Yes. Carva says the Doge father. Yeah, and that's why I bought Doge, really, is I'm only waiting for Elon Musk to get on Saturday Night Live and do the Doge father thing. I think it's going to be exciting, and that's why I kept the second half of it. My thoughts on Dogecoin surviving, being a legit cryptocurrency down the road, unless they get a development team, no chance at all. All right, let's see. In trading, we are said to not fight the Fed. Do you think crypto is the only exception? Well, how are you fighting the Fed with crypto? Right? I mean, I don't think you're fighting the Fed. The Fed's helping you, because as the Fed continues to print money, potentially pushing us towards an inflationary environment, or heaven knows, a hyperinflationary environment, then where's going to be your store of value? Is it going to be holding dollars or even equity prices? No, it's going to be going into commodities. And I think cryptocurrencies and digital assets will probably do well, especially the ones that have a ceiling on the amount of cryptocurrency. For example, Bitcoin, we all own 21 million, or Litecoin, 84 million. That's fixed. Some of these other ones have unlimited skies. All right. So question was, where do you get these things? So this is where it gets a little challenging. All of the ones that I've posted here, I don't believe you can buy all of them on one exchange. You would have to go through different exchanges. For example, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dash, Ethereum. I think Cardano is now available on Coinbase. But some of these other ones are not, right? They're just not available there. So you'd have to go find exchanges that fit your needs. And this is where I have not done the legwork yet, because it's always changing, and I had started. But what I was doing was building out a list of the 3 major exchanges. And when I say 3 major exchanges, I feel bad because I should definitely bring in Gemini. I think the Winklevoss twins are going to, they'll get their seat at the table. But it just started off so weak. That's Coinbase, Kraken, and Binance, right? Those to me are the big 3 exchange-wise. And if you're looking for diversity, Binance is the way to go. But we cannot, as American citizens, trade the real Binance. You can only trade Binance US, which is very limited. That said, if you are in the US, I would probably go with Kraken. They've got a pretty decent selection of digital assets to choose from. Their fees are lower than Coinbase. Their platform used to be absolute garbage. Like, it was trash. But they have since rebuilt it. It looks good. I like what they've done with their platform. So, it's getting better and better. So I'm actually okay with their platform. So how do you buy it? Well, I don't have any experience with KuCoin. I do not, Adam. That's one of the few I have not opened up. When I first started this back, like really heavy in 2017, I had so many accounts all over the place, and a lot of them just shut down. A lot of them said, we cannot operate in the U.S., can't do anything for Americans, etc. It's kind of bummer. So I haven't done anything with KuCoin. Brendan says he loves it, though. All right, so for the people who want to know about buying them, in many cases, you're going to have to buy on one exchange and maybe move them to another. For example, Kraken, their Achilles for me right now is the ability to link it to your checking or savings account. It's there through a third party and the fees are high. They haven't done it the right way, which is like what Coinbase has done. Coinbase, you can link directly up to your savings or checking account. You hit a button, boom, money moves, and there it is. And you can go back and forth. So if you cash out your crypto, you can put it right back into the account that it was drawn from. Kraken doesn't have that yet. They sent me a beta test, I guess, because of my account size. I sent the link out to other people and they can't use it. But I think it will be implemented here soon, a good ACH, which is basically that account transfer piece. Once that happens, then you simply link it up to your checking account, buy whatever you want. Right now, what you'd have to do is buy your digital assets, let's say Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin on something like Coinbase Pro, and then you send it over to Kraken, and then you convert from Bitcoin into the specific currencies. I know it's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but unfortunately that is just the process for now. Remember, this is not a mature network or mature system, right? We are still building this whole ecosystem up from the ground up, and it's taking some time for efficiencies to be there. The things that you and I are so used to, they're just not there yet, but they will be as demand kicks in. Let's see. What happened to the daily market breakdown? I always look for it. Well, let's do it, Fink. Well, here's what happened, Fink. I used to, Power Trading Radio, I used to start off with the 7 markets. And what happened is I'd always have the guest on the phone right at the top of the hour because it's just too difficult to do live. So I'd call them before the show started, put them on hold, do the 7 markets, and those guys are just sitting there waiting for, 10 minutes. So what I did is I moved it to the end of the show, which has kind of gone by the wayside. No one has complained yet, but since Fink is complaining about it, I'll bring it back occasionally when I don't have a guest on. But I usually do it near the end of the program because I don't want the guests now to be waiting for 7 minutes or 10 minutes while I do that opening and talk about the market. So we'll get back there. Cool. I don't have thoughts on Voyager. I know that Brendan uses it quite a bit. It's funny because I just started using Celsius and I sent over about 20 grand worth of assets to Celsius and now the app doesn't work. It's just ridiculous. So I've got, as soon as I go to, everything was fine and now I go to open my app and it just flashes. So I'm on tech support trying to get that stuff solved. Not a good start for me on Celsius, but I may look at Voyager or some of these other ones because I want to mix things around. I do like apps, and bottom line is I want to get more money for the assets that I own. So if someone's going to give me a better reward to stake it somewhere else, I'm moving. For example, BlockFi, I thought it was 8, but maybe it was just 6 and I'm just crazy, but let's just say it was 6% for Bitcoin. They were going to pay you up to 2 Bitcoin, 6%. Then all of a sudden they changed it to 5% for up to 2 Bitcoin, and now it's 5% up to 0.5 Bitcoin. So I'm moving my Bitcoin off of there, anything above 0.5, to, I was going to move it to Celsius, might move somewhere else, whoever's going to give me that best rate over 6%. Following rundown. Maybe. Yeah, Leslie, I don't know if you've reached out to them, but I'll tell you what happened for me is they responded back, said there is an issue with Apple. Some of I forget what operating system, it's in the email, but basically they said it would be fixed within the next 48 hours, so hopefully that'll be back up soon. So the guests can do push-ups while you go through the workout challenge. Now, I gotta do my push-ups. All right, so I'm going to just wrap it up and say that was it for the portion on what to do with $10,000 if you had 10 grand for crypto. Again, build the big portfolio ideas, how you want to allocate it into subgroups, and then within those subgroups, that's when you're targeting specific areas of crypto. I think that way you can kind of compartmentalize the goals of each one. One being like, the store of value. I don't plan on moving those, right? My Bitcoin, Litecoin, I'm probably going to keep that in Dash for quite a bit of time. The one that I didn't do is Monero. I don't have any privacy coins in here, and I thought that someone would bring that question up, like why don't you have Zcash or Monero or something that's a privacy coin? The reason for that is this. If there's a target for federal regulators against terrorists, drug dealers, bad people, funneling money illegally, it's going to be in Monero and Zcash where they can remain anonymous. So if any heat is applied to the crypto space, to me, that would be one of the first targets they're going to go after. Full disclosure, I do own some Monero. I've actually been really thinking of getting out of it just because, boy, if regulators come down in the industry, that's, again, I think will be their first target. So anyway, that was what I just want to throw in there. The whole SafeMoon thing, I don't know. You talk about a pump and dump scam right there. That's another one, right? These things happen all the time. So did it fizzle out? I don't know. I didn't even watch it. But it's so funny when you see people just pumping these things all the time. Let's see. SafeMoon. Here is the chart of SafeMoon. Oh, it's trading at 0.000005269. You can buy it. It's up 24% today. You can buy 100 million of them. Real quickly, you guys, it's hard to see here. This is why it's so annoying, this crypto world. See this number right here? This is hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions. There is 616 trillion of these coins. And I remember some guy tried to pull me into one of these user groups on SafeMoon, and the room's going, it's going to $1. It's going to $1. It's like, man, that is some good weed you guys are smoking. Big time. Because if it got to $1, that's a $616 trillion market cap for a cryptocurrency that doesn't do anything. It serves no purpose. If you're investing in these things, find something that serves a purpose. If it doesn't have a purpose, it could have huge move up. It'll just come crashing back down. SafeMoon is one of those. Dogecoin is probably the poster child of useless coins, but they're moving. So, hey, you know what? Just be careful and set your stop losses and jump out when you can. Yes, Brendan. Dash has privacy aspects to it. It wasn't designed as a privacy coin, but they started implementing features and functionality in Dash that give you privacy. So, yes. The SEC works for crypto now. All right, let me go. I had other stuff I was going to talk about. Let me go to your economic calendar here real quick, and then I'm going to go over the 7 markets because Fink asked for it. Did you use Binance for Doge? I had to use Robinhood. No, I got my Dogecoin on Kraken. Kraken actually has Dogecoin on there as well. So let's just look at economic calendar. Then we'll go through the 7 markets, and we'll just kind of do it from there. Here's what happened today. What was interesting for me was the crude oil inventories numbers. You guys see that it was a drop of negative 8 million barrels. They expected a contraction, but not quite like that. But really the big news of the day was your ADP non-farm employment change. Remember I think they set this goal a little bit high. They were expecting it to go from 565,000 new jobs created, that's the previous month, to 872. We came out at 742. So we definitely missed on the non-farm employment change, which is part of the reason we saw what happened out there today. Now, let's go to earnings. This is what happened today. Really nothing that exciting except for General Motors, which they doubled their earnings. They were supposed to come out at $1.02. Came out at $2.25. Way to go, GM. Are only up 4%, though. You double your earnings, 100%, and you're only up 4%. Crazy. Here is what's happening tomorrow with regards to earnings. Square, which is certainly big in that crypto space with regards to payments. You also have Roku and Energy Transfer Partners reporting. And then on the economic announcement front, there's a ton going on. Really, the main thing will be rate statement coming out for the UK. You can see there the rate is expected to stay at 0.1% with no changes on either the rate or the bank rate votes, which is expected to stay at 0.009. So those are your kind of big high-level pieces for tomorrow. If you're trading the euro, you do have retail sales numbers, which are expected to slip, basically get cut in half, and that will pretty much do it internationally. For the U.S., as you can see down here in the middle, you got challenger job cuts, unemployment claims, which they're expecting to drop again, which is good. We're back to 540. And non-farm productivity and unit labor costs, as well as natural gas storage. Okay, so with that said, let's go to our charts here. Look at this beautiful S&P. Really was hoping we'd see some follow-through, more follow-through anyway on that NQ. Really wasn't that big of a sell-off day, even though it was down just a little bit. This is actually getting into our rollover, so I won't go through the whole percentages thing because you're seeing things change right now. Worst performer on the day? Yeah, right. It's down in the next session. You had a pretty good day for cryptocurrency across the board. I mean, some of these numbers in the last 24 hours are pretty astounding when you just think about the sheer movement. You know, Bitcoin in the last 24 hours, it's up 4.5%. Litecoin's up 12%. Ripple's up 8%. EOS is 29% gain. Thank goodness that's number 5 in my portfolio. I love that one. You also had Cardano was up 13%. Stellar Lumens up 14%. So just crazy moves in that digital asset space today. Of course, the big daddy, the one that really moved the most, was Dogecoin. That was just incredible what happened with them. Now, here's crude oil. Surprisingly, you know, you saw the red candle here. You would think that based off what we saw with the inventory data that this would have been a much bigger green candle because supply all of a sudden is dropping. Therefore, you would think that prices would move up. But we did get a gap up on it and then really much just gave it back. What's noticeable about this is where do we come up into? You came into an area of overhead supply. Right? We're right into this area that was kind of the opening price of this candle on the 8th of March. And from there, sold off. So volume wasn't anything out of line with it. It was just right about average. But to me, potentially a little top formation here on crude oil. Also forming an ascending triangle. For those of you who like patterns, that is a great ascending triangle formation starting. We'll have to wait and see how it breaks. NASDAQ didn't really do much. It was noteworthy. Okay, we talked about that breakdown below that little 13,700 mark. Over the past few days. It did break yesterday, looked great from a short opportunity. Today, it did try to rear its ugly head, and what you're seeing here is something different than normal, guys. If you notice, it had a long topping tail on the NASDAQ, so it tried to rally and then gave up. What we've been seeing more often than not is really longer bottoming tails, where it tries to sell off, but the market keeps holding it up. So this may be a little bit of a change in just the sentiment in the buyers and sellers here, is sellers push this one back down, ultimately making it look negative at the end of the day. S&P 500, no change here. I mean, really, you're just traversing sideways. I know it does look like it's still trending up, but it's just slowing down here at the top. Russell 2000, which had a nice little red candle today. Again, just the middle of the range. Nothing noteworthy here at all. You could, if you wanted, draw a trend line in here. And again, this is why I'm not a huge fan of trend lines, because there's a phrase that says, if you torture a chart long enough, it'll tell you whatever you want to hear. You know, where do you draw this trend line? Is it from there? Do you go through the tails? Whatever. I think you get the general idea that price is hugging that trend line to the upside, and it hasn't been broken yet. So I would just stay on the side. Let's go to your top one, which is bonds. We are seeing the price of bonds rally again, which means that those yields are starting to drop, although it's not that noticeable. So nothing really out of the woods yet here with regards to this free fall that we've experienced on the 10-year. What is noteworthy, though, is this line right around 132.20. It looks, I mean, I guess you could make it an inverted head and shoulders or whatever. If we get a close above that, then I think you might see some more upside movement in the price of the 10-year, which means yields would be falling, much to the market's joy. Now, last one, GC. Here's your gold. Gold on the day, sideways for, 2 weeks. We've really been stuck in this range between 1,800 and, let's put a line across the bottom there, just roughing it out. I'll put it along the bodies. That's where I like to do it off of. You're looking right around 1766, 67, somewhere in there as your little kind of range-bound market here for gold. We'll wait and see what happens from a breakout perspective, but right now I think you just don't do anything with gold. You just let it sit there and do what it's got to do. There you go. Quite a few. Uh-oh. I gotta see what... Hey, Don. Good to have you with us, Don. Yes, Dash is definitely ripping. Thoughts on Ethereum Classic? I'm not a huge fan of it, Adam. I'd rather just go with Ethereum. I know that part of this was because of the spinoff and the DAO attack and just disagreements in the parties that were controlling Ethereum. So they did a hard fork. Now, generally in a hard fork, you go with which one the miners are going with, right? So most people went with the Ethereum, the ETH route. So if you want to think about the lifeblood of a project, it's not like you just create this thing and it just has a life of its own like Dogecoin, right? There's been no development. Ethereum has development, and almost all the development is happening in Ethereum space. You know, Polkadot, I think, is a very close second with regards to commits on GitHub, which is where basically everybody puts the code to help make these projects better. And ETC, it just doesn't have it, right? There's just not a lot there with regards to, is there some development? Sure. But where do you want the top brains? You know, if I'm going to go to who's doing the best work, the best code, the most solid systems, you know, it's going to be in the Ethereum space because that's just where it's at right now. Let's see. Is there a crypto screener app similar to Finviz? You know what? I'm sure there is, Cam. I'm not sure. I guess it depends on what it is that you're looking for, because there's a lot of stuff like I'll show you over here. There's a lot like this where you can go and filter through and look for different things, right? So you can check for cryptocurrency. So here's, you want to look at tokens, all right? This is a list of the top 100 tokens. You want to go to coins, you can go there. There is some filters here that you can do, right? You can look at DeFi projects, which to me, this would be a great way to build out your portfolio. If you look by slices, we talked about targeted projects. Well, some of these, Uniswap, Chainlink, these are the leaders in the DeFi space, or at least big players in the DeFi space. That might be an area where you could add some to your portfolio, etc. So a lot of these are major names that you'll start to hear more and more of, Compound, etc. Let me show you one thing here. I actually had I had this graphic and I lost it, but give me a second as I pull it up. It is the DeFi map. It was a really cool graphic giving you an idea of projects. And the reason I want to bring this one up for you guys is I think most of you, you know digital assets, right? You know Bitcoin, you know Litecoin, you know some of the basics, but do you really know all the players? And it's the sheer scope of all these players. And there it is right there. These are companies that are in the DeFi space. And this is just in decentral. These are only ones on Ethereum, right? These are ones that plugged into Ethereum's blockchains. But, look at some of these names. Most of you have not sounding condescending. I apologize if that's what it is. I'm just saying that this stuff is so new that nobody knows. I know a few of these names, but let's just look at derivatives markets, right? You have Veil, Lendroid, UMA, Expo, Market Protocol, Daxia, Variable, Box. Anybody heard of any of those names? Probably not. These, in the next few years, could be as prominent as something like the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Because if you look at the announcement that was made today from the CME Group to permanently close most open outcry trading pits. The Eurodollar options pit will remain open. This is just the writing on the walls. Physical brick and mortar exchanges have been dying for quite some time. This is, one of the biggest in the world. It's going to be a museum and a Starbucks coffee house soon. Now the question is, do we want to stay at centralized markets like CME, like NYSE or ICE or Euronext or these ones? Or do I look at the future, in my opinion, which is going to be, here's liquidity exchanges. So Paradex, Bancor, Loopring, Hydro, Total, IDEX, Slow Trade, Fork Delta, Kyber Networks, Uniswap, Centrifuge, AirSwap. These are names that most people have no idea of, never heard of, but these could be those next big players. And at this point, a lot of those digital assets are rather cheap. So for me, this is kind of an exciting space to be in, but it's also very new. As I said, some of those may be the new New York Stock Exchange in 10 years, but most of them will probably fizzle out and become nothing. So it's a challenge. Is in crypto network effects drive price? Yes. And what we're seeing now is adoption, which is the saving grace for all of it. Holy cow! Big Eb, it's your problem. You made me go an hour. I'm done. I'm going to jump ship. Tomorrow, I was talking to John Rowland, and John goes, I really have a lot of great questions about exit strategies. So we're going to talk about exit strategies tomorrow. John will be on the program. You guys remember John Rowland. He's a former NYMEX trader. The next time he's on, so we're going to talk about exit strategies, and he's got a specific outlook on it, which I thought was kind of interesting, an interesting take. But the next time after that, I'm going to force him to do a segment called The Life of a Floor Trader, and basically walk us through what he did every day, because it's totally different than what you and I are doing on a daily basis. All right. Why can they not come up with better names? I think that's part of the whole ecosystem, is you want to have something weird and bizarre, and plus most of the regular stuff is taken, right? So... all right, everybody, that's going to do it for me. Again, if you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, well, that's fine. You just send me an email at the email address on your screen, which is TraderMerlin@gmail.com, and let me know what you didn't like about the show. And again, thank you. I believe it was Karen. I'm hoping it was Karen. Sent in the question asking, how would you allocate $10,000 into the crypto markets? And I'm hoping that some of you, learned a little bit along the way. I know some of you already knew most of this stuff, but I think it's food for thought when we look at how to allocate our portfolios, how to allocate our positions, just like you would for a 401k or an IRA. I think you have to have that same due diligence with regards to cryptocurrency, because it's not just throw a dart and everything moves. There's timing to it, but I think that there's There's value in the crypto space, and I certainly think it should be a part of everybody's portfolio. It doesn't need to be their entire portfolio like Brendan. Well, Brendan's 50% crypto, 50% metals, but that's very aggressive. But should we have a 10% allocation, 5% allocation? Whatever you're comfortable with, have some skin in the game. I think it makes it a little bit more exciting because now you're part of a cutting edge thing. I finally got my dad to buy some Bitcoin too, which is a major monumental task there. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, everybody. Thanks so much. I will see you tomorrow with John Rowland. Again, a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't, let me know by emailing me at tradermerlin@gmail.com. Until then, happy trading, everybody. See you tomorrow.